super affordable, good everyday performance. Slowed significantly on our long 450 gigabyte write. The Solidigm P41 Plus SSD's performance is a bit stayed for NVMe, but it's easily fast enough for most users and super affordable. This older design from Solidigm couldn't quite keep up with newer SSDs and synthetic benchmarks, but it was on par in our real-world transfer tests, given relatively small data and science scale. And note that saying an NVMe SSD lagged a tad is a bit like saying the last place F1 car is slow. They all get around the course in a hurry. Moreover, the P41 Plus is available at some startlingly low prices at the time of this writing. For the reading, the friendly tapped here. And I would just look at our Passer Tencher, see our roundup of the best PCIe 4.0 SSDs to learn about competing products. The P41 Plus is a host memory bus PCIe 4.0x4 design that uses device memory for primary caching duties. This is enabled by an SMI SM2269 XT controller addressing a 144-layer QLC NAND. Secondary caching is writing the QLC as 1-bit SLC. The drive has been produced in 512 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte flavors. Solidigm offers a 5-year warranty on the P41 Plus, which is mitigated by a rather paltry 400 terabytes that can be written before the drive wears out per terabyte rating. Granted, most QLD SSDs offer relatively low TBW ratings, which is one reason we recommend TLC types whenever possible. Then again, given that most users don't write all that much data and the price of this SSD is so low. And the next time of this writing, the 512 gigabyte P41 Plus was available on Amazon for $37.50, with the 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte models priced at $69.99 and $106.75 price. Puts it among the lowest priced PCIe 4.0 drives we've tested. The 2 terabyte P41 Plus that we tested didn't do all that well in the synthetic benchmarks. With one exception, however, it was better than average in our 48 gig transfers. And while the P41 Plus's single Q 4K numbers, see below, weren't great, even for an HMB design, it exceeded the norm in the 32Q read. And the P41 Plus turned in very well 48 gig. 40 Plus turned in very well down transfer times, losing only to the fastest HMB design we've tested. The P41 Plus fell well off the pace in the 450 gigabytes write, largely because it ran out of secondary cache, and the controller didn't smartly, as some do, a lot more. You can see exactly how far in the chart below, in the screen capture following. The P41 Plus fell to around 200 megabytes to 300 megabytes when writing its QLC NAND natively, i.e. the full 4 bits. That's not great, but hardly the worst we've seen recently. The QLC Corsair NP600 Core Mini dropped all the way to 100 Mbps. If you aren't looking for showy benchmark numbers and don't transfer large amounts of data regularly, then the P41 Plus will do the job nicely. I also tested the P41 Plus with Solidigm's own Windows NVMe driver, which ups the primary HMB caching from 64 megabytes to 78 megabytes. There was a slight uptick in most performance areas and a nice jump from 16th place overall to 11th in the 48 gigabyte transfer test, thanks to improved writing of the files and folders mix. Kudos to Solidigm for even writing its own driver. Though it's not the fastest PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD on the market by a long shot, all NVMe SSDs are lightning quick compared to older technologies, and it don't bottleneck your system except in extreme cases. If you're on a budget, aren't looking for showy benchmark numbers, and don't transfer large amounts of data regularly, then the P41 Plus will do the job nicely and save you a fair amount of cash in the process. internal drive tests currently utilize Windows 11 64-bit running on an X790 motherboard i5 12400 CPU combo with two Kingston Fury 32GB DDR5 4800, both 20 gigabytes per second USB and Thunderbolt 4 are integrated to the back panel, and Intel CPU GPU graphics are used. The 48 gigabyte transfer tests utilize an 9-disk RAM disk taking 58 gigabytes of the 64 gigabytes of total memory. The 450 gigabyte file is transferred from a 2 terabyte Samsung 990 Pro, which also runs the OS, and each test is performed on a newly formatted and trimmed drive, so the results are optimal. Note that in normal use, as a drive fills up, performance may decrease due to less NAND for secondary caching, as well as other factors. This is less of a factor with the current crop of SSDs, with their far faster NAND. The performance numbers shown apply only to the drive that we were shipped and to the capacity tested. SSD performance can and will vary by capacity due to fewer chips to shotgun reads writes across and the amount of NAND available for secondary caching. Vendors also occasionally swap components. If you ever notice a large discrepancy between the performance you experience and that which we report, by all means let us know.